Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. So, we ran outside what they're calling a mosque, and then inside this mosque they found an entrance to a buried castle, city, something. So, I think what we're going to end up doing here is a little bit of platforming downward, and then we will eventually enter a whole nother secret dungeon type area. The game is letting me run around in circles, and I assume these lights, since they're in such a circular pattern, are not designed as a place for me to run and jump and swing on. That would be kind of crazy. So, was it supposed to just go down this hallway? We started there, so we could have gone the short way. No. What this seems to play at is we're going to platform with real caution, otherwise we're going to end up falling to our death. And we can see a skeleton, which is probably an indicator of falling to your death. Although, it should have been perhaps more skeletons or an animation of somebody actually falling. And we're immediately going to have to jump and swing. And notice we nearly fell down there because the animation of this inches you up a little bit. Just enough that you can move in the wrong direction. Right. So we may not fight anybody in this chapter just because of the high possibility of falling to your death and the loading. I could take a moment to try and fill my health up, but why bother? So the real danger here is that you're just going to move really fast and miss a shot. You would think that at that point, that would be a good point to say, let's put a little bit more of a checkpoint and a cutscene in the game. We're not going to get any of this Istanbul Islamic like patterns and decorations for very long, unfortunately, unless they just reuse it somewhere else. Because I think very quickly we're going to
just keep your eyes open.
Right. Let's see. What have we got on guns? Do we still have that throwing knife? No. So unless there was something I could like sneak up and knock one guy off. Okay. That worked fairly well. Just knock one guy directly in the pit, it looks like, and one guy down. I kind of assume that's intentional. We are now fighting full-on Nazis in the military outfits with the swastika armbands, which might have been beneficial to make a bigger deal of showing the Nazis early if you were going to have them in the game. I know there is at least one discussion on Steam asking if there was a way to censor the swastikas, and I know in Germany in particular they still are fairly heavily on the censorship around depicting swastikas. Alright, I need to run over here, use a med kit. That's one down. Is this Mauser gun with 3 shots good enough? See, we've got a lock on, so you would like expect that a gun with a lock on, if you had a lock on, you would hit the enemy, but it doesn't actually seem like that's really the case. Anything up here to look at? No, not so much. So we've got one gun with a decent amount of bullets. We've got a revolver with 6. We've got a Mauser with 7. None of it is particularly high enough though. Our health is at full. I don't know why my health is at full. Oh, because I used the med kit earlier, come to think of it. It definitely feels like there's a danger. Maybe I should just shoot these guys. I mean, they are dangerous enough. Yeah, just to protect my health, I think I will just shoot those guys, even though they're only carrying swords. They can't climb up there. Did some of the enemies jump down from there? Possibly. They're giving us some slight variety here in that you have these Istanbul guards and the Nazis. But that really is just 2 character molds. Let's see. How far does this take you? It doesn't seem like it takes you far enough. I could jump down this way and climb down into the water. But I suspect, yeah, we can see there's a shark. Okay, that's weird. So we want to avoid the water, and I suspect that that is the come back up if you fall option, not the go this way to progress option. Heavy breathing going on here. Now, there's just like major danger of me falling off the ledge and instantly dying. Seems like both of them fell in the water and then drowned. let's go ahead and drink a little bit of our cantina. And then it seems like the game is oddly giving you two ways to move there. I could have just swung, certainly. That looks like that goes downward. Do we want to go downward though? The game didn't give me a fly around this time, so I'm not really sure which way is which. Guess we jump and swing here. And even the game is getting bored with us hugging the walls that much, so that's why it's giving us these extra ledges to potentially just limit the amount of... And your whip item just appears and disappears with the start button. Doesn't feel like there's any checkpoint or anything around this. From this perspective, it really doesn't look like there's anything in the water, so I do kind of assume I'm supposed to just go back where I came from. And then either I jump in the water really fast and avoid all fall damage, or I take a little bit of fall damage. I want to be as cautious as possible. I don't want to have to redo the whole section again. Yeah, so we are getting a swinging prompt. So maybe this is a case where if you touch the water at all, it's an instant death. That might be the case. That would be a lot. And there was no double swing. It does sound to me like there's just another enemy around the corner, though. So we need to blow this up to get into that section. So we need some kind of explosive. One of the things I would say, it does kind of feel like they worked on improving in Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. One of the things I think they worked on and improving on in Assassin's Creed was a general conceit of separating out the Yeah, separating out the fighting sections from the climbing sections happens a lot in later Assassin's Creed games, I would say. And it kind of just happens kind of nicely even in the first Assassin's Creed game. Particularly in the first Assassin's Creed game, which would be a much later 3D platform adventure game, you very often are heavily encouraged, if not forced, to play certain sections in a stealth mode where you're walking right up to the enemy and stabbing them while they're not even being alerted of your presence. Of course, that's nothing close to what we're doing here, where they spot you from a mile away.
Throw myself up.
You really do need that hint. To not blow yourself up. I guess the question that's going to come down to this is, can I throw something like this and then run? And will that actually open the door? No, it won't. So you have to do that. You don't really have a run button or anything, so it is just running. At least with controller settings. You don't have a run button. You would just kind of expect there to be some enemies here, but instead they're giving us a checkpoint, which is beneficial, and a rumbling ground, and a lot of dust, which is crumbling behind us, so we know there's no returning. This whole section, though, I really think I would have much preferred it to be 100% platforming. Now it is noticeable that any kind of enemy seems like they're willing to pick up a gun and start shooting you. The knife guys don't exclusively use knives. No, that would be kind of major programming. But it's pretty standard by today's standards too, that characters would run for a weapon and be able to pick it up and use it.
Glory, here I come.
So we found Ottoman seal by rolling through here. Which in the Infernal Machine there was a whole crawling option you could do, and they've gotten rid of that. Which that saves you on button presses or potential button combinations. And yeah, we don't crawl. We really shouldn't be crawling. Let's jump this way. So this is a full parkour, but I'm not sure that we really are supposed to get into those dark sections. There is still some awkwardness in the fact that to get up a half step, you don't jump on it, and you literally can't jump on it. Looks like I could probably get on the ledge and go around the entire ledge of this area. That would get me over in that section, which probably is the way to go. Right. So, find a wall, start here. Nope, that ledge stops. That's just a decoration, isn't it? Well, that is bad design to have the ledge decorated exactly the same way. And then there's a totally different ledge. So come over here. When I press left, he moves about 1.5 movements to the left, well, instead of just a solid 1. I guess the move then is to jump. Now this is where you're in a bad position, because did I fail that jump because I can't make that jump ever, or did I fail that jump because the game was just a little wonky?
Jackpot.
And it's going to get annoying if we have to constantly collect the treasure. A more modern game would undoubtedly quick save when you collect that item. So even if you do reload, you wouldn't have to attain the collectible. There's nowhere else to go. I mean, I guess I could potentially swing to the other side. Let's see, if I swung to the other side, maybe that is the move. Maybe there's some kind of checkpoint or something that happens here. Is that really the sky, or is that supposed to be the painted sky ceiling? It looks like really the sky. Can I make that jump any better than I could make the jump from here to there? Neither one of them feel like they're particularly good jumps to make. We can make that jump, and then that gives us a barrier. So we know that's not the right way. But if we can make that jump, then it does seem like we can make this jump too. I'll just wait till the very last second to press the A button. That seems like that was what was necessary. Now, arguably the music should be a little bit more quiet for a longer time. That was maybe a minute at most that it went silent. What's going to be annoying about this is if we fall to our death. We can't jump to swing. Doesn't seem like we could climb on this texture pattern. Never did really find a way to slowly come down things. So maybe this is scripted, and as such we will just fall on these crates. Otherwise, I would half expect that I'm supposed to jump towards that lamp. But that doesn't make sense either. Let's make it an action though. Now what? Still feels like it's pretty dangerous. Yeah, if anything, I would just assume I'm supposed to fall here. And see if I press A. I fall. And now we've got the action music. But just trying to get rid of all the guns. So, make a mad dash to try to eliminate as many people while using the minimal amount of bullets. I'm not sure if the idea here is to use this elevator or just prevent the elevator from being used. As a infinitely spawning point. And we now have another place to refill our canteen at. Although it seems like you have to face one of the 4 spouts. Steamy water. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on Islam or anything, but if these are supposed to be prayer rugs, they should all be facing in the same direction, east towards Mecca, not towards the center of a statue of a fountain. These could just be general rugs to sit on and rest, I suppose. So, I guess maybe we weren't going to the dark areas on the left. Or maybe we're coming back to that later. And I guess it seems like our only options are to go down the elevator. Which, where is that going to take us? Exactly. I guess we'll find out. Back upwards. This clearly is the right way to go, but I wasn't really expecting to go up. I was expecting to go down. You'd think breaking these things might cause noise, cause enemies to run towards you. And obviously there should be some just basic spawning happening within them. The game is incredibly ungenerous when it comes to bullets. So that does create this weird situation where there really isn't a wide gap between playing a level very poorly and playing a level very thoroughly as far as looking for collectibles and pickups. Ironically, a second generation 3D platforming game like this may be lackluster in item pickups simply because players at that time had not been trained, for lack of a better term, or tricked, might be a good term to use too, into becoming very OCD collectors of items and looking for every pickup that you could possibly find. Certainly the Assassin's Creed 1 game establishes a heavy precedent there, where you have a lot of extra collectibles that you're encouraged to find.
I need to get down into the lower levels. That could be my ticket out of here.
Okay. Is this going to be a real puzzle? Seems to me like the entirety of the puzzle is just going to be slightly over. It might be very fiddly. And then pick up with the B button on the controller. I'm just holding it. So we're pulling that very high. And then it goes to our cutscene. Get another bad guy or two.
Height!
Yeah, really questionable whether it's necessary to just throw a couple of enemies at that point. If anything, this game is so accurate to what a Indiana Jones movie is that it becomes problematic in that there's a lot of points. Like, that's probably one of the best criticisms you can make for an Indiana Jones movie. Take your pick of which one. That there are a lot of times where it jumps to action very quickly and doesn't have a lot of falling tension. I guess we're whipping. Although I would like to know specifically which of these metal things we're whipping, but I'm just gonna assume it's the one that's necessary. And we have to run and jump to do this. And then you get into a cutscene. And then you get dropped all the way. Are we gonna run into a shark in this area? Feels like the crane would have been much higher, so this is potentially a different crane. And I do question whether if a giant marble head that honestly couldn't possibly have existed in the first place, you'd have to have some kind of like cement-like technology. I guess we're blowing this up at some point to make something that looks like marble but isn't marble from some kind of liquid form in a mold, or make multiple pieces and add it together later. We have an oxygen tank, which I guess would increase our oxygen. There is a whole section over there, and I guess that's where we're going. Let's look around over here first, though. Yeah. A considerably large upgrade in our oxygen supply. But yeah, if there was a giant marble head that fell into the water, it would make a impact that would probably displace a lot of water and then cause you to fall to your death because of that, into crashing into the head. Or it would at least displace the water enough that it would probably spray back up at you, or oxygenate it in such a way that you would fall right through it. Because that's the whole whitewater sea foam problem too, is that it doesn't give you any real resistance. Although in all fairness, if you fell that far, you probably would just die anyways from shock or the impact. So don't worry about it, because it's a video game based on a movie. It's a fairly large area for there to be nothing in the water, but obviously we're coming back this way at some point. Although I don't really know why. They show me a shark, and then they basically give me no way to avoid the shark, other than just trying to swim away from it. Is the hand pointing up really supposed to be an indicator of where you go? Apparently so, somewhat. Although the finger wasn't really pointing in that direction. It mostly would feel like once we got the third collectible key at this level and probably fought the boss, that would be the time to just give us a cutscene and have us leave. The lighting in this game is not detailed enough to, like, if I was to get against this wall and start to try and walk against it, I'm just gonna hit this box.
Height!
And then as soon as I get off the wall, then so yeah. A more modern game would probably have some kind of visual feedback that if you were on the wall, Indy's 3D model would go into shadow, or you would have some kind of heads-up display interface that showed you were in stealth. And in general, you would also just have way better lighting systems, so it would logically make sense that you wouldn't be seen. Either you would have these lights cast a circle of light on the ground to say, don't walk on this spot, or you would have way darker corners. Yep. I guess we effectively have made an underwater level, or they have made an underwater level. Spear gun, spear gun, spear gun.
Full.
Okay, and it just brought up the map. So this is a map exclusively of the sunken city, and it's pretty big. It's probably pretty linear by the looks of it, but if each X is a checkpoint, then there's 6 chapters more to do. Oh, that makes a weird precedent. Because now we need to... We need to make sure we pick up and break every box we can find. Well, we can't pick up boxes, but now that we know there are secrets, even if the secrets are fairly minimal, and I would assume that if we grabbed one of these bottles and tried to take it into the ocean, it wouldn't work. So the only enemy we've seen in the water so far has been a shark. So you introduce a spear gun, that makes me assume that the shark is going to come back and I can hurt it. But maybe not, because instead I am seeing Nazis in scuba tanks, or scuba diving. I assume Nazis. They don't seem like they're programmed in any way to actually fight back, though. So I'd suspect what happened there is they got stuck on the cutting room floor as far as any idea of how you would actually program scuba divers to attack. Which, in all fairness, yeah, that could be rough. In particular, since I'm swimming and not weighted down and walking on the ground. So the orientations would just be weird as far as it trying to target me and shoot. We should have 2 chargers, 2 demo chargers, and that's a lot of weapons we have. Shark is dead. With 3 shots. That seems doable. But it does also seem like the sharks are just going to potentially respawn. The game really wants you to be certain where to place the charge, but they really weren't that concerned about you knowing where to go after you picked up the charge. Although, I guess in all fairness, if I was to pause the game right now, yeah, find a map of the sunken city, make an entrance into the Palace of Belarus. Yeah, it's not really giving me just gonna get physical and underwater distance from that. What is this? I think that's probably a fish that's glitched visually. That's all I could really assume. Either it's a fish that is glitched visually, or an explosion particle that's glitched visually. Jump this way, jump this way, jump this way, come down here. Make a bit of a diagonal jump, which we really haven't been doing too much of that. But now we can see the game is now totally open to the idea of doing diagonally jumps. This is going to be a run and swing. There was a danger there in tapping the A button and accidentally jumping all the way off the other edge. Game felt like it helped me in that case. Really shouldn't have made that jump. Then you've got a square here that's lit up differently, I don't think for a real reason. Okay, my thought here is we need to probably get rid of this box. I'm not 100% sure how to get rid of the box. Ooh, machete. Well, we have not had the machete in a long time.
Fortune and glory, here I come.
We have 2 options here. We can think that maybe we need to swing some more. I don't think we do. Or we can go over here. I think we just go over here. And again, try to be pretty thorough about it. I could easily use some more bullets, med kits. Anything you've got, really. Looks like we're just gonna swing the crane to break that wall. It's just a lot of empty nothing here. They are doing attempts here to use lighting to point you in the right direction, but not doing a great job of it because you're pointing against this wall and this column as if that's the important thing, when really there should be a light closer in this side pointing to this, and a light on this side pointing to that. That way the X crosses. And then if you were going to establish that that was the use of the lights, then having a light pointing in this general direction doesn't say much. It does light up what would have already been pretty well lit up in the crane. Basically no desire to hide any secrets or even add extra gameplay mechanics. Like Indiana Jones in his hat as a joke is a big deal in the Indiana Jones movies. So in a video game, I have to question somewhat why there isn't a possibility of collecting a bunch of fedoras or a bunch of different hats. Different hats is a very basic concept, certainly in video games. You could have mechanical reasons, certainly, around. I'm just going to bump this wall, apparently, and that's going to be enough to break it at the slowest speed ever. And then the head's just going to float there? Apparently so. I don't know if there's something else I'm supposed to do with the head. See, this time feels like you would have to jump up on that, and it doesn't seem like the game really wants to let you do that. Yeah, I just don't know if I'm missing something here or not. I guess we'll leave it, and if we miss one collectible, or if we have to come back and do something else, then we'll just do that later. Yeah. Ideally, there would be pickup items that would either increase your bullet capacity or just give you more bullets. Items that would increase your health. Or permanently improve your canteen instead of just improving it for one level and one level exclusively. That doesn't seem like that's climbable. Okay. I suspect this is way easier than what I was trying to do. Yep, it was. Not supposed to roll and jump through that. You can't grab that ledge. There is a swing here. Here we have some nice textures on the wall. Yep. even in a modern game, in the Tomb Raider reboots, that was kind of disappointing that there really wasn't any research or archaeology going on in the game. Sometimes you'd find an item and they would have written several lines of dialogue having Lara Croft talk about the item if you looked at it in the menu, but that was about it. Sometimes there was an item that you spun around in a 360 view and maybe found some other element hidden on the backside of an item. I think I'm supposed to just run and jump here. We'll wait till the very last second. Again. And that's that. So if there was something to do with the crane head, probably going to come back and do that later. If I had any real problem with the health, I could probably exit out to the main menu and reset, reload, and it would potentially give me more bullets in alive guns, although maybe not much more. Let's see. This map I'm finding is actually a lot easier to read than the two previous maps, and I am seeing a lot more one-to-one depictions of where we're going. So the X that is not the lowest in the lower left, but the second lowest, next to where it says damaged wall, that is effectively the damaged wall we just broke. So we just went through that narrow gap in between damaged wall and wine coin. And it looks to me like the X's don't indicate load sections or items to collect as much as they are indicators of something, and then you have to read the text next to it to figure out what it is. So there's an obelisk, there's a damaged wall, there's a wine coin, which is one thing, there's a trident coin, and there's a seahorse coin and a kraken coin. Do we need all these coins? Maybe. But the map is definitely telling us they're there. How the map knows them they're there and they haven't been collected is somewhat questionable. So now when we hit the pause menu, we know we have to find all 4 of the coins. And then that will get us into the Temple of Poseidon, which I wouldn't be surprised if the Temple of Poseidon itself is actually more of a boss fighting room. And there is no real collectibles or no real level there. It's just potentially a big circular environment where we would be fighting, I imagine, a bunch of sharks or one big shark. Well, it's been another hour, and I've made it way further in Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb than I did with the Infernal Machine. That being said, there is definitely a level of repetitiveness here. If I assume that in the next hour we get through all of Istanbul, which might be a decent assumption, I still would have to be fairly generous to make the assumption that at that point we're getting into the Emperor's Tomb or whatever the final level may be, and we're going to spend 2 or even 3 hours in it. So I'm thinking we've got at least 5 hours more of gameplay here. It could be a lot more. Any of these kind of adventure stories where they send you off to find 3 collectible keys could at any point add a side quest where you have to go back and find something else, or you have to do something else. We're still not really in line with what I'd want in an Indiana Jones game. When you compare this to the LucasArts point-and-click adventure games of The Last Crusade and Fate of Atlantis, there's considerably less dialogue and no real dialogue choices. There's considerably fewer puzzles. We've seen maybe 2 puzzles at most that I'd actually call a puzzle instead of just little platforming challenges or find the dynamite to open a path type challenges. We have a female interest in the ninja girl, but she's not showing up around the story very much, nor has she got anything to say much when she is around. Compare that to like Fate of Atlantis, where you have a female potential love interest following around almost the entire game, unless you choose the solo path in the middle, and then she's not following around, but then she shows up again at the end no matter what anyways. There's definitely a lot more variety in the old 2D point and click adventure games compared to this. This is a game that is exclusively selling itself as being a 3D platforming adventure game on the same level as a Lara Croft Tomb Raider game, where arguably you should probably play a Lara Croft Tomb Raider game instead, because at the time this would have been released, Tomb Raider would have been more relevant, it would have been played by more people, and it has a much longer legacy of games compared to these 2 Indiana Jones games that they made in 3D. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.